This Iron Man got some sick dance moves. I don't know if he's gonna be able to stand still. Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes from my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I worked on the first 10 years Ultron figure, giving Ultron a more screen accurate look. Check it out if you haven't already. Here's Ultron from last week. I really like how he turned out. But it just doesn't look right with Ultron by himself. He deserves a proper display. An Iron Man is a perfect dance partner for an Ultron display. However, this is a knockoff Marvel Legends figure. I wasn't collecting Marvel Legends back then, and this is one of my least favorite looks of his. So I got this knockoff figure so I could make an Age of Ultron display. Besides the flimsy legs, the colors are also very inconsistent and dull. It definitely has that knockoff look and feel to it. So here's the plan. Age of Ultron took place all over the world. Unfortunately, both figures are not in their final forms. The only time these two forms interacted with each other was when they were fighting in a ship in South Africa. But that location isn't that memorable or interesting in my opinion. Objectively, the final battle at the church in Sokovia where the Avengers fought against the army of Ultron, protecting the Doomsday Trigger, is the definitive Age of Ultron scene. However, that scene is iconic due to all the Avengers. Now I do want to try and recreate that scene, but that's a huge project. So I'm going to divide it into two parts. So, can I make it? The first part, which is this video, is designing the Sokovia scene and fixing the knockoff Iron Man figure. Then next week, I'll bring everyone together and finish the Age of Ultron display. For the church, I'm only going to build a corner of a wall, because if I were to include all the Avengers into the scene, I don't want to have a structure that closes in onto itself. It will make the display look even more claustrophobic. All I really need is to suggest that it's Sokovia. I just need to recreate that unique architectural look of the church. The other important element to the final battle scene is the Doomsday Trigger. I think that's what it's called. I always just call it the drill, because that's what Natasha called it. But I guess it's called the Doomsday Trigger. Alright, here's everything printed. It's time to build them. Cut, cut, cut. More cut, cut, cut. Fold, fold, fold. And glue all the tabs together. Okay, here's one column. Just gotta repeat this again. Ta-da! 2 columns. Now let's work on the middle pillar. Cut, cut, cut. Fold, fold, fold. And glue all the tabs together again. There we go. On to the arches. Gotta build the 2 halves. Fusion half. Magic. Now let's put everything together. Here's the middle pillar and the 2 columns. And the arches go right on top. Let's see how it looks with Ultron. Ah, that looks good. Okay, now let me build the Doomsday Trigger. This is so much easier to fold and glue. Oh, this kinda looks like R2-D2. Time to build the base to the Doomsday Trigger. This part is trickier to glue. There are so many tiny tabs that are connected. Let's hope I'm gluing the right ones together. Here it is. Ah, there we go. Everything's coming together nicely. Look at that. This is the perfect set for Ultron. Now let's work on Iron Man. Overall, I'm surprised that there doesn't seem to be any missing paint. The only issue I have with this knockoff figure is that the colors are very inconsistent. The torso looks fine, but everything else looks chalky. So I'm gonna have to brighten up the colors and add some shine back to the figure. First, I'm gonna go over the entire figure with the red. That way it's easier to make the overall red color the same. The color is gradually getting more vibrant. Nice. Now let me apply a layer of varnish over the red to give it that metallic shine. This is why I don't recommend buying knockoffs. Alright, this is what the figure looks like with the varnish. It looks much better. Now let's fix the gold. I don't like the mustard yellow they used here. There we go. Now it has that proper metallic look to it again. I can stop here, but I want to add a bit more details. So I'm going to mix myself a gunmetal color and go over the panel lines with this color. The back of the figure looks very plain, so I'm going to add this color to bring out the molded details and do some more final touches. Alright, here's Iron Man all painted. I have to admit, I didn't spend as much time as I did with the other Iron Man figures. But the red looks so much better. The gold is alright, I can still see the mustard yellow coming through. The loose legs really bummed me out. But overall, I think this is good enough. Okay, now let's put all the elements together. First Sokovia, then the Doomsday Trigger. And here's Ultron, activating the device. And here's Iron Man, just watching. Ultron's like, it's time for another extinction event. And Tony's just standing there not doing anything. Well, this Iron Man figure has posing issues. The legs are very loose, so he can barely stand on his own. I also found out that his right arms can only go straight up and down, making it even harder to put him in dynamic poses. Oh well, that's what I get for buying a knockoff figure. Let's end this with a photo shoot. Ignoring the posing issues, the figure doesn't look all that bad. It doesn't look like a knockoff figure anymore, especially when he's in this neutral pose. This is probably the most dynamic pose he can do without falling or looking silly. Otherwise, he's pretty much stuck doing normal standing poses. Here he is guarding the Doomsday Trigger. Let me add a yellow filter. Maybe that'll look better. Does this look more like Sokovia now? Anyway, I'm pretty happy with how the wall and the Doomsday Trigger turned out. They are scaled nicely against the figures. Give it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. This is part 1 of the Age of Ultron display. Now that I've gotten all the important parts all figured out, I can build a proper Age of Ultron display with all the characters next week, so stay tuned for that. As always, stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you. Hey, you can now support me on Patreon. I post quite regularly there, from behind the scenes updates to sneak peeks to video breakdowns. Top tier members will receive a DIY 3D mini poster every month. These mini posters look great by themselves, but even cooler next to other mini posters. I love making things, and this is my way to thank my supporters. The link to my Patreon is in the description box down below.